Spencer, thank you so much for joining us today. First and foremost, how was your break?
It was good, really good. There was a few travel hiccups with the weather, but was able to go watch my son play in the Quebec Pee Wee tournament in Quebec City. So that was my first time there, and what an experience! It was an amazing city and pretty cool tournament to be able to witness.
Yeah, I believe it, Spencer. Obviously, a good break for you and your guys, right? How Jack have you been watching this Four Nations Cup? Obviously a huge final coming up here between Canada and USA. What's your take on it?
I think it's been phenomenal thus far. I mean, the way that I look at it, us hockey fans and people that are involved in the game, I mean, we appreciate the level of skill and the ability of these the best of the best players. But I've also noticed the casual fans, and that's where I think this tournament has done such a service to our game, is casual fans have tuned in and watched and gone, wow, this is amazing. Not only the competitiveness of the tournament, but also just the skill, ability, speed of the games and what's gone on. And so it's been fantastic for our sport. And as we move forward and have more of these best on best, i.e. the Olympics next year, it's only going to help the game of hockey as a whole.
So thankful we get to relive Saturday night. I'm still buzzing over it, but we get it again on Thursday. What did you make of the 3 scraps in 9 seconds there?
It was pretty intense. The one, I was in Quebec City, and the families of the team are watching, and now all of a sudden the restaurant that we're in is buzzing, and got a ton of texts from friends and people all around the country, in the United States, Canada. So I think it was just you could feel the passion, the energy from watching it from afar on TV, and the competitiveness, and what a impressive game. And just I think it just speaks to our sport and the players in it, of how much they care. When you represent your country, it is, you lay it on the line, and it's the ultimate. You're playing for your family, your buddies back home, and it means so much to hockey players to represent their country. And so that was on full display on Saturday night.
Yes, it was, Spencer. And obviously a guy like me, I'm on the other side of it now, right? I've retired. The pads are put away. And so now I've been dissecting Team Canada goaltending, Hellebuck, and everything that's gone on. But for you guys, Logan Thompson, like how incredible he's been this year for you. There was always question marks, him coming over to Vegas. He's been so good. Do you think a guy like that deserves more credit on the international stage? Obviously, I know he's still a little green. He's building his resume. But what's your take of Logan Thompson so far this year and what he's done in his body of work?
Yeah, I can just speak for here, and I know those decisions. It's easy to to look at Logan and the season he's had and say those are really, really hard decisions to make. Do I feel like, because I watch Logan on a game by game basis and I see him every day as a coach, am I like, hell yeah, I would want him in any tournament that I'm playing in? But it's easy for me to say that because I'm here and I see it. And he's just been fantastic. And I think maybe the best way that I can sort of describe him, and a lot of people know this now from his past and his progression and path to the NHL level, is he's just always proven people wrong. And he's always gone into seasons and had a little bit of a chip on his shoulders, but he's got this ultra competitiveness to him that when he came here this year and we made the trade to acquire him from Vegas, we didn't know we had Charlie Lindgren here, who had a fantastic year last year, and Logan coming in here. It was sort of, hey, you guys are both going to be huge parts of this team. And he's come in zero. Oh no, I need this, and this. He's going, nope, I'm going to prove it every single night that I get an opportunity to play in the net. And we've sort of gone back and forth with him and Chucky all year. And yeah, Logan just continues to, and he's earned a great contract, and hopefully going to be a Capital for a long, long time.
I love that you guys have 2 lefty goalies. It makes my day. But it's got to be the answer to a trivia question down the road. It has to be. But throw where you're from out the window. What do you expect on Thursday night? Who wins?
Oh, man. You know what? Hold on. Back to the lefties. Something crazy that we are trying to brainstorm and figure out on the fly, because this is such a rare thing, is practicing shootouts with 2 goalies that are lefties. So I think we might be 0-3 or maybe 0-4 in shootouts this year. I think we have 1 goal and maybe 10 shots. Now, obviously, but it's hard for us. So we're trying to figure out ways to brainstorm. So we may bring in a third guy to practice shootouts, because our players are like, it's hard for me to practice my shootout moves when I can't. It's totally different in a game. So that has provided a challenge as a coach that I didn't think I would ever face, but trying to help us with the shootouts. I'm so torn on multiple fronts on this, because I'm a dual citizen. I'm lived in the United States the last 20 years of my life. I grew up in Canada. I am right on the fence on this, and I apologize, because that is the last thing you want to hear. So I'm really, really torn on this one.
Yeah. Well, I'll be more biased, because I'm pulling for Canada, though, even though I spent a majority of my adult life. And as like Steve Ott used to say, Canada made me, America paid me. Right. So it's one of those things. I always love that. And I love the challenge of the left-handed goalies. Right. It's something, for me, always watching is a unique perspective. Right. It's a different look for players. Right. So I love how you're trying to get over that and find a righty. And I guess that, a guy like me, like I played in the East Coast, I played in the American Hockey League. I worked my way up. I was a backup, and then I got a chance to be a starter. What's the adjustment for you from coaching, working your way up and then being an NHL assistant to becoming an NHL head coach? Like, perspective for fans or people around the game, what like changes in your livelihood coaching behind a bench when you go from the assistant to the bench boss?
So I think that the first point you brought up it was huge for my individual development as a coach. Is my years I spent in Toronto gave me an opportunity to get on an NHL bench and really truly feel that, and gain experience and learn every single day. Not just learning from Sheldon, but learning from all the players and the practices, and going into the different buildings. And here's how you handle this situation, and here's what a back-to-back looks like when you travel from city to city, and all that experience that you gain on an NHL bench as an assistant. I always say this, like, I feel like I got a 2-year master class in coaching in the NHL, because as an assistant, you're in a secondary role. You're in the background a little bit. You've got your responsibilities, you've got your meetings, but you have all this time to take in all this great information and learn from Jason Spezas, Jake Muzzins, all these people that you get to pick their brain, Mark Giordano, and then obviously all the elite players that you're around, and you get to see how Willie thinks the game and how he sees things on the power play. And so like I left Toronto feeling A, grateful, B, gain all this knowledge, and C, really, really confident that, okay, now I feel really comfortable. I believed that I could be an NHL head coach before coming to Toronto, but now I really feel comfortable and confident of being able to get on that bench as a head coach in the National Hockey League.
What do you remember about that moment the Caps offered you that job? Were you like, to Sheldon, peace, I'm out, see you later?
No, I was very it was humbling, because I felt bad, and because being a part of Sheldon's staff and not being able to finish the job. We won the 1 round. We beat Tampa the year, my last year there. But just really grateful and thankful that he took a chance on me. Like, he called me, he didn't know me. He didn't hire his buddy to run the power play. Like, he called me out of the blue because him and I had coached against each other, and he respected the job that I had done and wanted to pursue interviewing me to run the power play. And I was like, I'll be forever grateful for him taking a chance, because there's not a lot, even Kyle Dubas, I owe a ton of credit to, is that they took a chance on an American League head coach to run the power play in Toronto. And that, I know you guys would know that's not a lot of people would take that chance. So I will be forever grateful for them taking that chance on me. And the reason I'm sitting here in Washington is because they did take that chance on me.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think from my perspective, it's refreshing, right? Because even at times when I was trying to break in as a goalie, you see guys get regurgitated all the time, right? Guys that were older and you knew you could play. And I think we do that a lot with coaching. And, I guess from the perspective now that you're in sitting as a head coach, like, is there any advice you'd go back to when you first started on the East Coast, or things you would work on, or kind of, just for maybe a young coach watching this interview?
Yeah, great question. You know what I would say? And it's something that I learned really, really early on. It's the best thing you could do, especially in the minor leagues, especially junior, young coach coming up. You want to win hockey games. Absolutely. Whether you're a head coach or assistant coach, you want to be competitive. You want to be invested. You want to work hard, all these little things. that every day, if you come in and you have an approach, I'm going to make our players and our individual guys somehow, some way better. I believe that eventually good things will happen for you. So develop, make players better. And so that comes in tons of different forms, ways, on ice, off ice, connecting with them on an emotional level, finding out what works best. But if you can consistently make players better, you will, people want, whether it's the AHL, ECHL, major, junior, if you can find ways to develop players and make individual players better on a daily basis, I believe you'll have success in this business.
In a few short minutes, I could tell why you're kicking ass this year. Great communicator, great at breaking things down. But how do you stay grounded through all this? Like, I mean, I don't need to tell you what's going on this year between Ovi's chase, the job you're doing behind the bench, the President's Trophy. Like, you guys are legit, very good team this year. How do you stay grounded through all this?
Because I rode on a bus from 14 hours from Kalamazoo, Michigan to Charleston, South Carolina. And I will never forget that. And I try to, every day, like no matter, and this is just the way that I've always approached things, whether it was in the East Coast League, it's just a day by day approach and very, very short-term focus. And don't, like we're having success and I'm so proud of our guys and happy for them. And we've put ourselves in a really good situation, and what he's been able to do this year, and Dylan Strome and Logan Thompson, all the individual accolades. I love it. And celebrate it a lot. But for me, it's the next thing. Okay, how are we going to beat Pitt on Saturday afternoon, and how can I help our guys get ready for that game, and how can I make them a little bit better, and trying to stay in the moment as much as I can. That's how I've always done it since starting way back in 2010 down in South Carolina.
Yeah, Spencer, it's like anything, right? It didn't happen overnight, right? You learn from it, you compartmentalize it, and it's impressive what you've done so far. And just a little stat for you, in 6 games, 9 goals against. That's how many goals Ovi had on me in 6 games. So I just wanted to make sure you pass that along, a little thank you, or maybe something to Ovi. He used to always give me a hard time, but obviously what a legend, right? He victimized me. He's had a hat trick against me. He's done it so many times. What's it like coaching Alex Ovechkin, right? This is a guy, he's a legend. He's been around for so long. Is it a different animal, or what's it like being around Ovechkin all the time?
Yeah, he's like none other. He is truly like none other. And I'll tell you a quick story, and you would probably know this too, because Ilya Samsonov came to us in Toronto. And so I had a relationship. I coached him in the minors when he first came over from the KHL. I coached him in Hershey in the AHL. He was part of Washington. And I go, Sammy, in Toronto, I go, what is it about? So now you've spent a few years in the big leagues in Washington and here in Toronto. What is it about shot that's different? And he had this great explanation. He used Shea Weber, actually. He goes, Shea Weber, hit, hurt. Oh, hurt. He goes, Ovi, it not hurt. He goes, it moves on me. And it's got this, like, the best description of it that I've heard is it's like someone that's got a fastball, like 2 guys have a fastball at 95, but one has some like extra kick and extra movement on it. And that's like, shot is it catches goalies. They think it's coming and it goes underneath their glove. And they go, I thought I had that. Like, how did that just get through me? So that's kind of like his shooting. But back to him as a player, like, I think that the best thing, and I keep trying to say this because now being around him, I truly feel it. Like, this guy, he wants to win so badly, and he knows scoring is his way that he can help us win. And so he wants to get out there. He wants to be the guy. He's so hungry to, like, everyone sees the scoring part. He absolutely is, but because he's so desperate to win. And that's what I think when it's all said and done, that's what keeps motivating him to do the things he's doing at 39. It's just remarkable what he's continued to score at this clip at 39. It's just, you can't even wrap your head around it.
It does not make sense. And it must be pretty cool on that note to have been able to coach both Alex Ovechkin and Austin Matthews, right?
Yeah. And I learned, because Austin, very similar in his shot, and his is different, right? Like O's is the big one-timer a lot of the times, but Austin's is that pull and release that when you're around it and you see it, you're like, whoa, did he just snap that off? And it just gets up and like, So yeah, being around him, and then you see the greatness of these guys, which is I always appreciate, because you can learn so many things from them. Is now you ask him little questions about Austin, about when he attacks, like how he sees a defenseman's triangle, what he's looking for when he looks at the goaltender. Is he looking for a hole? Is he just trying to hit the net? And they give you all these little nuggets that are like, wow, that's amazing that you think about that, and that's how they see the game. Yeah, very, very fortunate and blessed to be able to work some of the best to ever play. And Mitch, another one that just sees the game at a different level. Yeah, really, really blessed.
Yeah, I found that too. Like even when I like doing goalie practice, right? You get out early, and the best players always had a unique way, or they wanted to know your perspective of how you saw the game, and they could find it in a certain sense. And I guess for me, like obviously I ended in Toronto. You were there. It was kind of just a little victory lap. I got picked up as an injury contract, and I had played in big markets. I had been the guy, but not like Toronto. What was it like day to day with Toronto media? I know it's a tough one, but like for fans,
Yeah.
I guess we understand the bubble, but it's hard to see right there. Yeah, Nick on the other side there, the media. But what was it like day to day dealing with that pressure? Is it something again that you would just compartmentalize and manage the best you could?
For me, it was easy as an assistant coach, because the Leafs have that rule that no one is allowed to talk to the media, other than the head coach, players, general manager. But I witnessed exactly what you're talking about, the amount of preparation that Sheldon had to go through every single game, because the best thing I could say, the media in Toronto, and please don't take this out of context, but they're so smart. They know the game. So anything you do as a coach inside a game, any look you give, any double shift you do, take a shift away, they know exactly what went on, and they're going to ask you about it. And it puts you as a head coach in some uncomfortable situations where you got to answer a question. Why did Willie miss that shift? Or why did Mitch, what happened here? You took him off on the power play 10 seconds in. So there's a lot that goes into it. You just have to spend more time being very thorough and thoughtful in your responses. And I saw that firsthand. And I learned a lot from Steve Keogh and Sheldon and their approach, and how they, okay, here's the messaging. Here's what you may be asked, this, and this. So that was, and then the players, it's a lot, and it's good though, because I always appreciate it, and I think the right players and the guys there do, is it tells you they care. People care, and people want to hear what you have to say. So when you go to Florida and play the Panthers, and there's 5,000 fans chanting "Go Leafs, go!" Like this is why you answer the questions. This is why you're going to be pressed sometimes when you're in a slump. But that pressure is because people care, and they want to see you succeed. And I find the best players like Austin's, those guys there are prime examples of it. Is they put so much pressure on themselves, the outside media. And I always took this when they'd write articles about the power play. I would read and I go, I absolutely agree. I think the same thing. Like we've been terrible the last 3 games, and it's got to get better. And so I know that, and I'm putting as much pressure on anybody. So I never took that offensively. I said, yeah, you're calling a spade, or if you're not, I'm like, I still am worried about my process and making sure that we get on the same page as a power play and continue to do good things, or get things back on track.
I'm happy we could bury the hatchet, because I've talked about the power play a couple of times, even when you were the coach there in Toronto. So my apologies. I made a pact earlier this year. I'm not talking about it anymore. The power play has been a big struggle, and I can't lay it on Mark Savard either. But we'll leave you this. Do you have a favorite memory from your time in Toronto?
John Tavares' goal. Yeah,
so sick. Yeah.
The elation like that was not manufactured. Like the relief to beat that team in their building, Tampa, who's such a phenomenal team, losing to them the previous year. After that game, to sit, we as coaches got to have a moment back at the hotel of just us bench coaches together to just go, wow, we finally have won a series and beat Tampa Bay, and to do it in the fashion that we did in overtime and that. And obviously wish we could have gone a little bit further and given Florida a better matchup there. But that moment was, I'll never forget that in Tampa Bay in overtime.
Leafs Caps conference final. Let's do this, Spencer. Thank you so much for your time today, man. This was so much fun. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosa. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.